Yeah, that sounds about right there. It's kind of amazing how much stuff happens in 2 months. I mean, if we go back and look at 2 months ago where we're at and where we're at today, especially with what we're going to go into as far as what we've accomplished, it's daylight and dark, and it seems like every single state of Sponge we find ourselves in that scenario, which is really good because it shows how much progress that we're making in this project as we continue along. And as far as like last month is concerned, that was September, and that was our 1 year anniversary since we started this project. I mean, it's been one heck of a ride since then. There's been a lot of stuff has happened. I mean, we made it to Minecon this year. We talked about that before, which is just it's amazing for a project that's not even off the ground for 1 year to actually manage to make it to the big stage at Minecraft or Minecon and be able to talk in a booth.
It
And
was a
now,
seriously
here we
amazing
are,
experience, I might add.
right, without having, there's some people that have been doing projects for years and they haven't been able to do that. So I mean, we definitely got something here, and we're gonna show more of that off today. And we love the lineup that we've got going on. As you can see on your screen right now, you'll see some Gorse videos, and Owen, he's the one that went and he rendered these things and got them to upload, and it took forever. It seems like to manage to get those things to upload. And if he wants to
Yeah, it
talk
seriously
about them a
takes
little
a
bit
while.
about what you're seeing right now.
Okay, basically, now, Gorse, there's the six different segments of the sponge powered development, basically family. So you have Sponge Forge, Sponge Vanilla, Sponge Common, Mixin, Sponge Docs, and all being developed in that video there. So that's showing it from when we started back in September of 2014 all the way to September of 2015. So as it plays along, you can see there's a huge amount of development that takes place, especially when you hit the last 2 months. Development's been going quite rapidly. So it's really impressive to actually be able to see how far we've come along and just how fast the project's been developing. I mean, I've compared it to videos of the Bucket ecosystem and the old HMod ecosystem even, and it's quite astounding just how much development we've had. It's easy to forget how long development takes in retrospect because a lot of people just started using Bucket a year or two after it was actually put out into beta. So just looking how close we've come after such a short period of time is really quite astounding.
Absolutely. I mean, in a year's worth of time, I honestly didn't think that we would be at right now, at all. It's just, it's just insane. I mean, when I look back last year, when I made that first commit to what at that time was Sponge API and Sponge Repo, we didn't have the common setup, nor did we even consider doing something like Sponge Vanilla. We didn't have mixing technology back then. We just basically had a couple of classes thrown together and was just. I remember in a private chat with CPW, who some of you may know is from the Forest team, and we were just working to get basic plugin loading. And I think that everything was starting to work a little bit from that perspective on, I think it was September 7th or 8th. I might have my dates wrong on that one. But it was right around that time is
I
when
think
we.
that was exactly when we started, September
Okay,
8th, I
was
believe.
it? Okay, so it might have actually been on maybe the 9th then, is when that was done. And it's just amazing to see where we were at and then where we're at today. Because, I mean, as it stands today, there is still API left to implement. There's still events left to fire, etc. There's obviously some cleaning that we should do and some revisions left to be made. But I mean, we're definitely at a point to where we're looking at a beta project, and a beta project with an API that is this massive. It's mind-boggling how much progress has been made and how much of the community has come together to work on this thing. It's way more than I would have ever expected, and it makes me quite humble when I sit back and think about it all, especially as being one of the people that's kind of steering this ship a bit. But yeah, I mean that pretty much wraps up where we're at with the 1 year anniversary. I wanted to make a special mention to it, and we talked about it on the forums with the big announcement post. And I think that's pretty much all that needs to be said on that. So looking forward to the API since 2 months ago. Basically, at this point, I mean, what hasn't changed? The biggest thing is Events 2.0. That was been kind of the huge thing that we've been working on. I guess the premise of it is right around a little over a month ago, probably a little bit more. WizGenie, who, for those of you know him, he's a World Edit developer and works on WorldGuard too. He looked at our events because he was starting to really do the port to Sponge for that platform. And he told us that our events suck. Well, the names do. So as with how these things go, I started fixing one name and realized like, oh, this name doesn't make sense. And I fixed that. I started looking at the stuff in events and I'm like, you know what? This doesn't make sense. And next thing I know, I'm looking at a commit size that's touching more than 200 files. And then that's when Blood got roped to go into this as well from an implementation perspective. And then we roped in Gabazo to help us, and eventually it started turning into a really, really big, and I mean very big branch. And the end result is something that's just completely blows away the event systems that I have seen in the past from other projects. Because it takes the standpoint of where you have more meaningful generic events in which they have causes that you can query for. And we're going to go into that when we start talking about the implementation here shortly. So that's been the big focus over the last 2 months, but we did a lot more other stuff. The next one is snapshots, which some of you know about. Basically, we do block snapshots, we do entity snapshots, we do item snapshots, and I think that's it. I don't think we do any other snapshots. Basically, it's exactly how the name sounds. When you get a snapshot, that is whatever object, be it block, item, or entity, that is at that moment that you took the snapshot. So if you take a snapshot of a chest, and you take that snapshot and you use it elsewhere, it's gonna be the same chest as it was. So if you have a chest snapshot full of half the chest is full of like 64 stacks of dirt because you like taking snapshots of those chests for some reason. You decide to go place it elsewhere, you'll notice that it's the same chest that you took a snapshot of. We have the ability to, we can build snapshots. You can build one by providing information. And Gabazo has a entity snapshot right now. And he's also showing up, let's see here, Sponge block snapshot. So the builders are very, very API rich. You can take a snapshot of something. You can build a snapshot to use it later. You don't even need to have you don't need to have an existing block to build a snapshot. You can build one from scratch as long as you provide information that it wants. And this is extremely powerful because you can basically have a template snapshot that you want full of data, and you can set it down the road. And you continue to set new copies of that snapshot. The one thing that comes to mind that you can do with the event system is you can do something like Mario Paint in Minecraft. If you've ever played Mario Paint, then you choose a block, you make changes to it, and then you dot it on the grid. And it's the same concept here. I can make it to where I smack like 10 blocks, and they set to a block, to a snapshot that I provide. And we'll show how that works with transactions here in a little bit when we start talking about the implementation. So that's pretty much, that's basically it for snapshots. I could do an entire discussion about them, but I just want to touch on to a couple of things here. The next one is block traits. This was something that Blood was one that pretty much pioneered putting this into place. And I feel that probably would be best to have the guy that pretty much wrote it to go ahead and put it and talk about it here. So if you want to go ahead, Blood.
Yeah, so let me open it up real quick. Block traits, give me a sec. Oh,
No
yes.
problem.
So So basically, Mojang has three types of, well, Mojang calls them properties, block properties, but we already had properties being used in our data API, so we changed it to traits. Mojang has three types of block properties that represent basically the meta that was in 1.7 and earlier. Now they're represented as properties and stored into block states. So there's three types. There's that Mojang that uses Boolean traits. So like let's say a door. One example would be, is the door open or closed? That would be a Boolean trait. And in the Boolean trait, you have all types of all the known stuff in vanilla. So for example, let's say you want to know if a door is open in a plugin. You would go to, let's see, so for instance, there's iron door open. You can use that in your plugin. And if that returned a value, then you know that, then you basically can check to see if it's true or false. And that would let you know the result. Then there's enum traits, and they just enums. So most types, one common type of enum is variants, which represent the type of texture to use, the type. So like let's say logs, there could be like a jungle log, for example, and for that you would check in the enum. The names are really awkward, but this is just how Mojang names them. So for instance, one of them would be the log variant, and that would have a list of enums of the different types, and then you can query for the type that you want to search for, and if it's set in a block state, then you would know that that's whatever type that you were looking for. And there's various other types of enums. There's many of them in the enum traits class. And then there's integer traits, and that's just for like trying to find, for instance, the lava level, the redstone wire power, ages. Those are all stored in integer traits. So yeah, so the reason why we put traits into the API was to support mods, since mods will be using traits right off the bat, and in order to support them without them being required to register their stuff into the data API, which we all know many mods are not going to even bother. We have a system in place where you can at least find the trait if you know the actual mod, what you're looking for. You can query for the trait and grab the mod trait and then use that in your plugin. And I'll provide basically, actually there already is methods that are provided so that you can actually grab an entire list of all traits available in the current game that you're running. So depending on the mods you have installed, you'll get a various list of traits, and then you can use that in your plugin to query all types of modded traits. So for, let's say a mod adds like 10 different blocks and they have all sorts of traits that they've added themselves, you can do that as well. So that's why the trait system was in place, was because of mods. But the actual data API uses block properties, and those will actually be the recommended use if you're using, like, if you all you care about is vanilla blocks, then you'll be using the data API. And if mods can register their stuff into the data API, then you can then you can obviously use that instead as well. But at least the traits is a nice backup solution. So that's it.
Yeah, and it's really awesome because we needed something for you to be able to pull up traits of a mod block. That way you can do something with it. You can stop the mod, you can check to see what they're doing with their trait, and just knowing that it's there in 9 out of 10 cases is just fine. So the support that we added will be perfect for plugins that are wanting to do stuff with mods, which really is one of our biggest goals as Sponge API, is to be as mod friendly as possible.
It seriously opens up a lot of possibilities for what you can do that just hasn't been possible with any existing software implementation.
Absolutely. So moving on now, let's talk about the Java 8 language level bump, which a lot of you know it's coming, as well as the 3.0 snapshot of Sponge API. So I'll actually go into the Java 8 first. It was our intention to do Java 8 and bump it before this state of Sponge. Unfortunately, a couple of things came up from our end that prevented us from doing so. We've taken another look at it a couple of days ago. I was working on another mod and I realized I was able to get Java 8 to work just fine. We've now taken another look at it, and lo and behold, we work with Java 8 fine now from our test. So based upon that, I can go ahead and announce today that after State of Sponge, we will be moving pretty much immediately to Java 8. That is a bump for Sponge API, for Sponge Common, Sponge Forge, and Sponge Vanilla. The entire Sponge ecosystem will be moving to that language level. If you have not installed the Java 8 standard dev kit on your computer, I would encourage you to go ahead and do so. Otherwise, obviously, you're going to run into problems actually using it, because we will start using language elements from Java 8 in our stuff, because it makes a lot of things, and I mean a lot of things, a lot simpler, especially within data. As Gabazo can attest to. He's been waiting for this moment. Actually, many people have been waiting for this moment to finally switch off of Java 6.
I will also add here that while it may prove annoying to some people to just go out and update Java, it seriously delivers a lot of performance enhancements, both in terms of how the game, like how fast the game actually runs, and from a development perspective.
Well,
so while it may be inconvenient for a few of you to update, we highly recommend it, and it will really improve the experience for everyone.
From
well,
a
I mean,
security standpoint,
I don't want to confuse the Java 8 language level and the Java 8 runtime level. For server admins, they've had Java 8 runtime level, and really they should have been on Java 8 for a long time now. Because it would not hurt anything with using the Java 6 stuff that Minecraft and Forge target, and it would just make their server perform better. Java 8 runtime performs better than Java 7. That is a fact. But updating the language level allows us to make the API as well as the implementation a lot cleaner and a lot simpler for us, as well as for the plugin devs that use things. Because Java 8 adds Lambda support. It also adds functional programming. It adds streams. It allows us to use not Google, but Oracle's optional in the standard development kit versus using Google's optional. It brings a lot of stuff to the table. And for a long time now, since the beginning, we've been using Java 8 like stuff, but was only provided by the Google library. So we've been using it all along, quote unquote. It's really nice for us to finally switch to using the stuff that's in the standard library instead of having to rely on another library. Because it presents some interesting complications to rely on the Guava stuff if we want to bump it when we can't really bump the Forge one. So there's give and take, as always, but the Java stuff works just fine, and it's going to truly be wonderful to bump it up and be able to use that. We wanted to go ahead and make that announcement today and make it clear that that's what's going to happen. We already went ahead and made the post a couple of weeks ago. I believe it's been 3 weeks ago, Owen, if not more.
Approximately that. It was in early to mid-September.
Right. Basically, at that time, I pulled the trigger and said, you know what, we're going to do this. And we worked on it some. We hit problems. Now we've pretty much got everything cleared out on our end. And we think that it's going to go really well, and that plugin developers will appreciate knowing that they can use the modern API elements that Oracle has thrown into the standard library.
Actually, did we tell everyone why we decided to switch to Java 8 only now?
I already did.
Excellent.
So how does this
Yeah, it's just I
affect
thought
the?
some might be unaware of the whole Mac OS X launcher upgrade.
Oh, yes, that. Well, it was
That
a
reason.
couple of reasons why we hadn't switched already. Because when I made that post, the intention was to switch like within maybe 2 weeks at most, because I was giving people a heads up that was going to happen. The first one was Mojang has been working to get their new launcher ready to go. It's the same look and feel. You won't really notice a difference, except that in the background, they actually ship their own version of Oracle's Java, which the intention here is to get everyone on Java 8 and get everyone off Java 6 so they can finally kill Java 6 for good. This will allow the game to run faster for just regular players who probably don't have any idea about updating Java at all. And this also allows them to use the new language elements, which in return make the core Minecraft engine code a lot cleaner. They hit problems with the Mac side of the equation. I think like Linux and Windows, I mean, those two seem to be just fine. And it looks like that they fixed that issue. There might be a few rough edges left, but everything seems to be working fine. So their end is covered. Now it falls back onto us. Like, why haven't we updated? There was a couple of reasons on our end. We weren't sure what was going to happen when you introduce our Java 8 classes into Forge's still Java 6 classes from SpongeForge's perspective, as well as the base game still targeting those Java 6 classes. What we have discovered is everything seems to be fine. We're even able to use our mixin technology to bring in the Java 8 elements into the Java 6 compiled classes of Minecraft. So that seems to be just fine. We were hitting issues with that a couple weeks ago, but we've got that resolved now, and everything seems to be good and ready to go. If we run into problems with it, we'll certainly revisit it, but we kind of want to close the door on Java 6 for good. And once we feel that with 1.9, they'll probably make the big push to move everything over to 1.8. And if it's not with 1.9, which honestly would surprise me, then it's going to be 1.10 or whatever they call that one. With that one, then Forge would also update, because Forge is quite adamant about following what Minecraft targets. But seeing as how we're a new platform, we kind of have the ability to not have that limitation to us that they kind of imposed on themselves. So we are able to bump the version and have all of the benefits that brings. So we're going to do it. And it was just a matter of getting it to work correctly. And we have now, which is wonderful. So just to recap, yes, we're going to bump to Java 8. Yes, it's going to happen very, very soon after the State of Sponge today. And so everyone should be on the lookout for that to happen. So that basically covers kind of an API update section. We're going to talk a lot more about the API when we start talking about the implementation here in a moment. So if you have any questions, obviously ask us at the end, especially if you have questions about the fact that we're bumping the Java 8 language level, or if you have questions about the upcoming 3.0 snapshot, which we've been kind of waiting on because of the Java 8 stuff, or block trait snapshots. I mean, anything. If you got any kind of questions, especially about events, then hold them off into the Q&A part, and we'd be more than happy to answer them, because we definitely have a few devs with us today, especially myself. I'll be able to answer them. So moving on now, let's
Just
talk.
before we move on,
What?
if for people who are still using Java 6 or 7 on their machines, you should update because Oracle's no longer providing public security updates. So
Okay.
regardless of Sponge, you should be on Java 8.
Right, and that's why we're doing the bump. So moving on now to the implementation. So just to kind of summarize the implementation, as most of you know, we have Sponge Common, which is the common implementation between Sponge, or what we know as SpongeForge, and what it will be known officially soon, which is the core mod that runs on Minecraft Forge, as well as Sponge Vanilla, which is just the Sponge API on top of a clean, unmodified Minecraft server. That one is a sister project to SpongeForge, but SpongeForge remains our flagship. And most of the time, it's mostly me that works on Sponge Vanilla when there's not other pressing priorities that need to be taken care of. So it tends to lag behind because Sponge Forge does remain our flagship and will always be our flagship. So speaking of Sponge Forge, we're now starting to talk about the road to beta. We've made a lot of progress in the last 2 months to this goal. I had mentioned in an announcement post, I think it was at our 1 year anniversary announcement post, that I made the promise that by the end of the year that we would be in beta status. Basically,
is
it means
correct,
at that
yes.
point, yep, basically it means at that point that we are comfortable with you now using this on your server, though do take world backups just in case. That you'll be able to have plugins to run, which there's already plugins on the forums, and they keep popping up, and we are implementing stuff and we're getting stuff fixed just as fast as we can for them. And then once we're into beta status, we'll start getting more and additional feedback from our server admins on stuff that they see that's not working, or if they encounter bugs and with their setups, and just it keeps going on and on. The transition to beta is a huge milestone for us because we go from being known as an alpha project to basically something that's been usable and is now quite a bit like Bukkit was in the past. I know that's what a lot of admins have been waiting on, basically for us to pull the trigger and say that, yes, we are comfortable with you finally using this on your server. I know personally, I'm going to be kicking up my own server. It's just I play it privately. I play it with like family and stuff, and it will be a Sponge Forge server, and I'm gonna have mods on it because with Blood's new branch that we're about to start talking about, it allows me to basically stop anything and everything of them blasted mods and what they do to a world map. It's absolutely amazing, and I hopefully that we're going to blow some people away today with what we show you. The beta with target, like I said, was the end of the year. As of this moment, we're completely on target with that, if not actually going to be in beta before then, because things have happened a bit quicker than I thought they were. So the moment that we're going to flip the switch and say that we're in beta status, we'll make a huge post on it. We'll make a huge kind of a fair out of it because of how
And
big
we'll
this
finally
means to
move
everyone.
where all our builds are hosted. They won't be on that month's old post anymore. We'll have a brand new, clean look for them all.
Yep, we'll definitely do that as well. I mean, we've already made a couple of changes. Luke GB, who's like our biggest server administrator, he made some changes to our changelog page. If you want to bring it up real quick, Gabby.
Yes, 1 second.
Yep. He made a big change to that page, and it's so much better than what it was before. You
Yeah, I'm
actually
not a
get
web
change
developer.
logs. What's that?
Yeah, that's because I'm not a web developer. I whipped up something that generated a web page that listed all the files in Java because that's what I use.
Yeah. But I mean, it's got the change logs now, which a lot of people are hollering about. They want to see the change logs, which we absolutely wanted to do. And it's got the places where you can download stuff. It's still a work in progress. We're definitely not finished with it. We definitely got a lot more stuff that we want to do with it. But we hope for right now that this will suffice. And for most people, it does. They absolutely love it. You can look at the page and you'll know exactly what we're doing between builds, so long as it's working. It does have its quirks, and it's wonderful. As far as the road to beta roadmap and what we're looking at from here, there's big 4 entries in the road to beta roadmap that we want to get taken care of. The tracking causes, which we'll talk about in a moment, that's mostly been done. Firing more events, we're doing that slowly over time. Tracking causes was kind of putting a big stop on that, but now that that's done, we'll be able to rapidly start firing many more events. The next one is going to be inventory, which I know everyone keeps asking about it. We know. it's in progress. It's either going to be in progress by Mumphrey, but Mumphrey's time is very, very limited these days. Actually, extremely limited at this point. I've also started to do some implementation of inventory myself. So it's going to happen. It's just I don't know a matter of when it's going to happen, but it will. And if it's not by him, then it'll definitely be by probably Blood and myself. We'll probably tag team to do the inventory stuff. But that's basically next up on the list was after tracking causes and events was to do the inventory. And now that we've basically got these 2 entries where we want them, I mean that's the dead next focus is to get that in or get it into a point that it covers most of what people want to do with it, because the inventory API is quite a bit expansive. And it has to be done a certain way because we want to make sure that we have some kind of rudimentary mod support. So the last one on the list was data, and this is actually something that we've had quite a few contributors come out and help us with. Gabazo has been working with them to teach them how to correctly implement their data processors as well as their value processors. And so it's just a work in progress. There's a whole bunch of data to do, and it's kind of a mind-numbing task. But once it's done, it's out of the way. We've got a number of them implemented. We've got even more to go. If you do have the knowledge to work on the implementation, then absolutely jump in and help with the data. I mean, we certainly would love to help. Otherwise, Gabazo is looking at a good 2 months of grunt work, and I think it's probably going to kill him if he has to do that.
Notice that he's not laughing.
Yeah, he's not laughing. It's either that or he's going to have to consume 1 too many pints of alcohol to manage to make his way through it. Because
so you
of all
heard
the
the man.
data.
If you don't want Gabazo to become a raging alcoholic or alternatively die,
What do you mean? I'm not already a raging alcoholic?
Perhaps not. It depends. It depends when you're implementing some data. But that's what is on our beta roadmap. That is the 4 things that we want to happen before we start telling the server administrators to really give us a serious shot. And there's already people that are using us on their server, and they're not hitting any problems with it. Obviously, our stance still remains that you keep back up your world no matter what. If you want to keep that world, you best back it up because things are still heavy in development and things could break at any time. And but other than that, I know of a few admins that have already started using it, and they seem to be doing just fine. And the plugin developers on the forums are starting to put out content, and the community is starting to really thrive without us intervening and doing stuff. So that's really good. As far as implementation from dev builds are concerned for Sponge Vanilla, I did start pushing out some dev builds of Sponge Vanilla. They're also on the build site, the downloads page as well. The big thing, though, is it's not as feature complete. It's actually missing a number of stuff versus SpongeForge, but I was at least confident enough that if I let you try and use Sponge Vanilla, it's not going to eat a world because I've been using it for a while. But if you want to try it out, you're welcome to do so. If you want to contribute code to Sponge Vanilla to implement the stuff it's missing, you're welcome to do that as well too. Just note that if something comes up with Sponge Vanilla, it's probably going to take me some time to fix it because my ultimate goal is helping Blood to get SpongeForge out the door as quickly as possible. And that will always be the case. SpongeForge will always come first. So next, I think the biggest thing we're going to talk about is what we're doing with tracking causes. And I think I'll let Blood take it away for some of this because he's been the grandfather of this system, and I think it's his right to be able to talk about what he's managed to accomplish here.
All right. So basically, the big issue we've had with in the past with Cauldron and various other variations like MCPC and just standard Forge, Craft Bucket servers, and so forth is the ability to track causes correctly. So SK originally added the cause system into the API, which basically allowed a plugin or anyone to pass causes of an event. So let's say a player shot, killed an entity like a cow or something. The cause would be the player in this case, and the target would be the cow. That's just one cause, but there could be multiple causes. So let's say skeleton shoots an arrow, and then an arrow hits something, and so forth, and it causes like a ripple effect. Those will all be bundled into causes and thrown into an event. But currently, there was no way to track all these different causes in an efficient manner because Mojang, the Minecraft code, it's just not written that way. So what I did was take my concept of capturing blocks for players. So for instance, in CraftBucket, there's when a player block place event happens. So for instance, when a player places any type of block in the game, let's say it's 1 block or more, the block is basically placed into the world first, and depending on how many blocks occur, it doesn't matter because the capturing logic is taking place and just capturing whatever is being placed into the world. And at the very end, that's when an event is fired and say, hey, this player tried to place this many blocks into the world. Do you allow it? The plugin says yes or no, or they can make a change or whatnot. So then what I'm doing now is instead of just worrying about player placement, I'm taking that concept to a whole new level. I'm tracking every single block change in the game world. And there's currently, pull up my code. There's currently, I kind of broke it down to 4 different types. Currently, actually, there's 5 different types. So there's when a change happens in the world, there's a break, and a break is essentially when a block turns to air. That's how I categorize a break. Then there's a place, and a place is essentially when a block type changes. So for instance, let's say a stone block changes to, I don't know, a glass block. That's considered a place. And then there's a modify type, and that basically is whenever the block type doesn't change, but the type changes. I mean, but the state changes. So for example, let's say there's a door. The door is closed and then the door opens. That's considered a modify. So yeah, and then I also have fluid. Fluid is basically covers lava, water, because that's kind of spammy in the Minecraft world since it's constantly there's lava flowing depending on where you are in the world. There's tons of water always flowing. So that's kind of spammy to have into the break, modify, and place type. So I kind of categorize that to a separate type. Then there's the populators. The populators are essentially as the chunks are being generated, different types of populators are running. A populator can be like let's say a cactus, and a cactus gets spread around a chunk into various spots depending on the logic. There's also like different types of trees are populators and so forth. So all that is now being tracked. I'm tracking that, and in an event that we have in our populate chunk event, we're actually passing the populator that's doing the population. So let's say I don't know. A big tree is being populated, and the populator is the big tree that gets sent into the event, and then you as a plugin developer can now actually replace any block that the populator placed into the world. So let's say you want a tree of diamonds. You can just, in your plugin, listen for the event, check the populator type. If it's a big tree that's populating in that chunk, you can now replace every single or whichever block that you want during that population. So once a population is finished in a chunk, every single block that gets changed gets sent through an event, and you as a plugin can go through all those transactions, seeing what was changed, what was replaced, and alter the final result. So if you want trees of diamonds, or you want your whole world to be full of diamonds, you can do that. So now, as far as causes, so that's a system in place to capture the blocks and stuff. But now to actually get this all wrapped up into causes. So now for causes, now that I have capturing in place, break, fluid, modify, place, and so forth, I'm now tracking for players. I track packets. So when the client, for an example, does a placement into the world, they're sending a packet to the server or to the server end, because on a client, if you're just running a client, there's still the concept of a server. It sends it to the server side of the code and then processes some logic. So basically all I do is I start my capture when the packet's received, when it ends, whatever that logic did. So let's say it was the player used an item, and that item caused, let's say it's a mod. So let's say some player used a wand, and let's say Thorncraft, and the wand destroyed, let's say, 50 blocks. That gets captured, and at the very end it gets sent through an event, and you can alter the final result. So if you want none of those blocks to change, you just cancel the event. If you want blocks to just, if you want certain blocks to change, you can just cancel the block transactions that you don't want. And if you want blocks to be replaced, let's say you want certain blocks to change, the actual, so let's say that wand placed stone, you wanted to change to dirt, you can do that. But yeah, so all this is passing causes, and there's a lot more to it as far as how it all works. Another example is, let's say a ghast. A ghast spawn. The player spawns a ghast into the world via a spawn egg or a command. So let's say you as a player hop into a server, and you're at admin, and you type the command summon space ghast. That summons an entity type of ghast. That ghast shoots a fireball. You now get an event, and the causes in that event are going to be the player that created the entity. So for instance, in this example, the player that created the ghast, you're going to get a cause for the shooter. So the ghast is shooting a fireball. That's a cause because he's the one shooting the fireball. So that's going to be in a cause. And then you're going to get the actual entity that's being created by the ghast. So for instance, in this case, he's creating a fireball. So that's three different things. The two causes, which is the player, the ghast, and the target, which is the fireball. Now, when that fireball hits, let's say the ground, and breaks blocks, now that's a separate event. That will trigger a break event, and that will have causes for the player, because every single entity that's created by players are tracked. So even if the entity creates more entities, so a ghast creates a fireball, the fireball creates a mini fireball, and so forth, you're always going to have the player associated to those, tied to those things. So when a fireball breaks blocks, you will know that the player did it. And I'm sure Zidane Jaden can give some more examples since he's been testing plugin. But essentially, what I've did is we're now capturing every block in the game in order to provide actual causes in all of our events. So you'll know everything that happens. Now, there's some situations where like mods may do some different things where I'm not capturing, but I am capturing everything that's happening during the game tick. So if an entity ticks, whatever the entity does during that tick is captured. A tile entity ticks, all that's being captured. Whatever that tile entity does is being captured. Blocks, so all that's being captured during the game tick and stored into and allowed to be processed via events. And then from that, I figure out the causes and I pass through events. So yeah, if Jeannie wants to explain some more examples of what you're doing in the game.
Yeah, absolutely. So Gabazo, can you put up the link that I just gave you privately? Yeah, it's in the -dev channel. Go ahead and put that up. And I'm going to go over this. Yep, I'm going to go over this example. It's from MyGist.
Could you repaste that to TeamSpeak?
I sure can.
Already done.
Because
Prog did it. Go ahead and open it. And put that up on the screen, and I'll go into and I'll discuss what I'm doing here.
Yeah, it's much easier to actually see it happen in game rather than me explain it. So once
Absolutely.
Jaden goes into the game, you'll see exactly what we mean by tracking causes.
Yep.
all right, should be up.
Okay. So if you want to go ahead and full screen that, otherwise I'm blind. Oh, there we go. Perfect. Okay, so this is a little testing plugin I called Swappa. And the name will make sense with you whenever I explain it in just a moment. There's two things that Swappa is doing right now. One is just a test listener because I like to just throw random listeners and plugins that have an ID and see what happens. And the first one is actually it has a real use, or it depends upon if you like that functionality or not. So the first listener uses the event called what we call populate chunk event.post. Basically, populate chunk is exactly how it sounds. This is when chunks are being populated with blocks, and this is after the population has occurred. So Blood captures all the transactions that happen from the population. Basically, a block transaction is just a glorified class that contains three key elements. It contains what Vanilla said, or what we call the default replacement. It contains what it originally was. So if it was air and it turned to dirt, then the default replacement would be dirt, and the original snapshot would be air, which is what it was. And it contains what we call custom replacement, which means that seeing as how I'm a plugin and you can see that I set the transaction stuff down below, that is now what we call the custom replacement. So if you are a plugin and you're wanting to do stuff based upon what another plugin does in transaction, well, you can easily check for it. You can just check get custom replacement and see if another plugin said something different. And then you can either say, well, okay, that plugin can do it, or no, that plugin should not be doing this. I'm going to override them and do whatever I want to. And in this case, I don't really care. I'm just going to set it to something here. And if another plugin comes behind me and says something differently, then so be it. I mean, they absolutely can. So the big thing is what am I actually doing here? So if you see up above, I'm iterating through all the block transactions, and I created me a nice little private utility method called upgrade OR. Now, for this plugin, I have determined that I am so tired of having to go out and find so much coal that I'm just going to change every single coal and diamond and iron and emerald ore blocks into actual blocks, like the big block, the one in which you put like 9 diamonds in a crafting table and you get a block from it. I think it's 9 diamonds. Is it 9?
Yes, it is.
Okay, it's 9 diamonds. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm saying for every single time that the server populates a chunk, go through the transactions and see if it matches the type that I have. And if it does, I'm going to set a different type. And then you can see right there exactly how I'm doing the set. And that's literally it. The cause system, because you can see that I check the populator type above to see if it's OR. The cause system kicks in. It says that a chunk was populated. This is the populator type that did it. And I can do whatever I want right there with setting whatever state.
World of Sponge.
Well, yes, you can do that. You can
Excellent
literally
idea.
listen. Yep, you can listen to populate chunk event. You can iterate through all the transactions and set them all to sponge, and it would work just fine. Or Blood messed around with changing an entire world to gold blocks, which was awesome too.
Actually, Blood, do you still have that image of changing
Well,
setting?
why don't we just do it? We can run this.
Sure,
So,
we can.
yep, comment out my code down below and change it to sponges. Let's make a world of sponges. So literally, we'll just iterate through the map of populator type the transactions, and for each entry, grab the transactions, iterate through them, and change it to sponges.
You probably should do a better example. Just change trees to diamonds. It's easier.
Or that
Yeah.
too. I mean, whichever. Still gonna be some iteration.
Do a tree of sponges. Trees of sponges.
Tree of sponges.
Just give me a bit because I'm importing
Yeah, that's
the
fine.
handy dandy worlds test.
Okay.
All right, so well, most of this is already in API.
Yeah, you'll just need to just get rid of the code that I have in Worlds Test right now, and you can use the listeners.
Yeah, so I would just for a simple test is put different types of trees and put like a different type of block. So like let's say a sponge for I don't know, oak trees and some other trees. Put another type of block and then show them all different types of trees in the world. They should all have different whatever you replaced. It should be changed to that.
Yep, you're gonna need to change your dependency too, Gabby.
Yeah, I know. I got that. So I have the on event for the populate chunk event post and spawn entity event, and well, we can ignore the spawn entity, right?
Give me 1 second. I'm gonna paste you right now, and then you can just copy this, the listener,
Copy.
which does it for you.
Yeah, he has a
Alright.
listener.
My
okay.
tree example.
Make sure to just post it in TeamSpeak so I can grab it from my desktop.
Now while he's doing that, I'm going to explain the next listener because the next listener is pretty cool as well too. So Blood went into a little bit about how we track what entities do. Now, the big thing as well is whenever you summon an entity or you spawn an entity as a player, that entity actually remembers that you did it, like you are its creator. And because of that, we're able to do really, really cool things here. Like the second listener, the one where he's got the commented out lines there at line 32, you'll see that I query the cause to see if a player is in the cause, which is the owner, as well as a projectile. Now, with the projectile, I determine to see if it's there and see if the owner's is there, which means that there's a projectile that was being fired, and somewhere up the tree, there was a player owner. Now, if they're both present, then I tell you, you can see that I send you a message that says that, oh, look at that. A projectile was launched. It was launched by an entity that you owned, and that entity's projectile caused some blocks to, or not blocks, but caused some entities to spawn. Shame on you for that. So what does this actually mean in reality? That means that I can go in game, I can either summon or I can use a spawn egg to create a ghast. The ghast will spawn. Let's say that I have a player like Saldoc was using to help me test because poor Saldoc makes a good testing dummy. So Saldoc is there. Me and him are playing on the server. We're having fun. I use the spawn egg. I bring forth a ghast. The ghast naturally shoots a fireball at Saldoc and kills him, and it's unfortunate. Now, the items in his inventory that he had on him, as well as the blocks that the explosion created because it broke blocks and dropped those items, that fired that if statement right there, and it told me that it did it, which means that the amount of stuff that you can query for has never ever been done before. You can see so much more stuff now from who does what. You can easily make a plugin to where you summon 10 skeletons and another person summons 10 skeletons, and you can write logic once we implement the attack event that makes it to where that skeleton cancels the attack if he tries to attack you. He only attacks the guy over there. He won't attack his master. I was thinking about doing an RPG plugin to where you gain experience for breaking blocks. Well, that would be broken if we allowed someone to place a block, break it, gain experience, and place it again. I can now do this with this system. And you can check for anything in the world. There's more stuff that you probably can check for than you'll even realize is happening. One of the coolest things to do, and it's a lot of spam, is to add a listener for like changeBlockEvent.modify or changeBlockEvent.place and actually run the game and see what it spits out in your console. I mean, like even a sheep. Here's a good example. If a sheep is walking around and he finds some grass and he decides to eat, because that's what sheeps do, then it will actually print out and say, oh, look at that, the sheep placed a dirt block. Because that's what they actually do. They eat the grass and they place a dirt block. You can actually have that kind of fine-grained control. What if I summon the sheep with a sheep egg? Well, now I'm in the cause. My entity is eating your grass. And so now you will know this. And you're like, well, hey, I'm going to kill that sheep and not kill my own sheep because my sheep are the only ones that get to eat my grass on my lawn. Get off my lawn. So you can do stuff like
Wow.
that. There you go. You can do stuff like that. And that's just getting started. So for death, if a skeleton dies, he drops a bone. That's logged. My skeleton dies, guess what? I don't want his bones to be dropped. I can cancel that. If skeletons die that are not my skeletons, I want those bones to drop. Guess what? I can do that. I can query for anything in the world I want in the cause. This has never been done before, to have this kind of querying syntax available. Yeah, and Saladog's plugin is amazing. So did you make sure to include that plugin on the class path? Gabazo?
I'm double checking that right now.
Yeah, you may want to double check that because I don't think that you did. Shots fired on witches, witch lawn. Yeah, I mean you can do stuff like that. If you guys have you ever used a plugin called like Prism, which we're working closely with the lead developer of Prism, or stuff like Residence, when they move over to Sponge, it's going to be absolutely brain dead easy for what they need to do because they were already doing a lot of this tracking and their tracking was not nearly this comprehensive. It's not even close. And they'll be able to just use what we do and add their fancy commands and stuff, and that's it. I would check the mods menu, Gabby, just to make sure you see Swappa in it.
Oh,
Where do
right.
Sponge plugins?
Go into the mods menu.
Well, it's already too late. I already started creating the world.
Just
Remember that Twitch is a bit
Yeah,
late.
that's right. It goes a little bit behind. Because I've seen 5. No, the 5 is right.
Yeah,
5 is correct.
would be right.
Yeah, it's correct. So now we're generating the single player world. We're testing our Sponge plugin in the IDE, which we can do because the Sponge plugin is loaded on the class path.
Okay, what the heck? I don't know what to tell you.
About it not generating the trees right there. Let's see your listener code.
I can actually set a debug point, so let me restart it.
Yep, let's go ahead and set a debugger point. Let's see what's going on. Set it on that second line.
Yeah, I did. No, by default, there are 4 mods.
There's Forge, there's MCP,
FML, and Sponge.
I mean, you can easily show that by going into the mods menu.
Swappa.
Oh, I know the problem. I think.
What?
Or, yeah, I think. Is your Sponge Forge on the branch?
Yes. Unless SpongeForge is not updated.
No, it's updated.
It's already up to date.
But your listener didn't fire at all.
Yeah, it didn't. What is the commit hash?
I would say for you to roll back head a couple of entries and then do a get pull.
It is feature tick
Because
captures, right?
remember he keeps force pushing. So you may have to roll back
No,
a few
this
entries
is
to
on
get it.
the right commit
Recall your remote.
origin.
Buddy disconnected from your channel. Buddy joined your channel.
Sorry about that. I'm back now.
Is that the right hash?
Yeah, it is the right hash. C1568F0. 1568F0.
It's probably a bug. Just give me a few and I'll fix it. Cause we made some like a bunch of last minute changes, so.
Oh, I see. Well,
You can
okay,
do
how about
the-
this?
Show the
You
entity.
can
We
do
can
the
do the
other
other
one.
stuff, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
show
go
like the
ahead and do
entity
the other one.
causes. Yeah, and then I'll fix this part.
So go back into the swap it code and comment out that listener, and you should still have the other one. And then reboot the client.
Hey, for those that are watching, at least we can figure out, you know, what's causing the issue.
Well, it's always good to teach
Quality
people how to debug.
developers.
Debugging is a valuable skill. It's always good to teach people how to do it.
All right, so let's see.
Now what you'll need to do is
Spawn
best thing
a
to do, spawn a gas.
yeah.
And then switch yourself out of creative and then run. Gosh, I didn't realize how far behind this is.
Oh, there we go.
There you go.
Ow, ow. Yeah, they're spawning them there.
Yep, you can
And
see it.
those that are watching the stream are trying to see, it'll get spammed in the it's getting spammed in the logger as well.
Yep.
However, one fun thing that I tested out earlier, it should work still, right, Jeeden, for withers?
Yep.
Where's
Oh gosh, you're gonna do withers.
uh-huh.
Summon a boss wither. That's gonna be interesting. That's gonna get
no.
spammy real quick.
No.
Just do the summon. Why would you go through all the effort? /summon space boss wither.
Why does it not spawn?
Probably on peaceful. Actually, no, never mind. Ignore that.
Oh god, there it goes. What is it? It seems like
Wither
IntelliJ
Summon,
is
it's the
just.
wither skull.
It seems like the the debugger is having a wonderful time with the client.
Yeah, it looks like your computer is struggling.
Well, it is streaming and running all this at the same time.
True. That's very true.
But we can assure you that when it's running on the server, it's not going to be causing nearly this much amount of lag.
No, it won't. It's because of the whole stream.
Right. But, alright, so there is that.
So another thing you can do too, if you want to embrace the lag, is go back to your plugin, add a listener for change. Add a listener for change block event.
Okay, before I do that, I'm going to disable the entity one.
Yeah, disable the entity one. Just print that sucker out.
Let's see. At listener on block, change block event. And what is it?
Just send it to the logger. You've got a logger injection up above, correct?
I don't care. Get cause. Nope, not call.
You might need those. You might need that threaded logger.
Oh, yeah. At inject SLF4J logger.
I was just printing the event, and that's it. I would just print the event.
Not the Google one. Oh, Javax.
Because if you print the event, you get all kinds of information with that.
Alright, did I stop it? No, I didn't.
You used the right Java inject, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
I made sure.
Yeah, this is going to get spammy pretty quick.
Actually, I believe the Guava one works as well. You don't have to use the Java inject.
Preparing for spam in 3. Oh god. Yeah. It's doing it, alright.
we need to capture one of those and let us put it up front and center. And that way we can show what we're capturing. One that's not from Forge, though. One of those modifies would be good. If you find a place, that would be really good, too.
And I'm just copying it from... Go. I just pasted it in thing. That is a modify, actually. Luckily.
Oh, yes. Let me look here. So, modify.
It's just spamming this log.
Just hit escape and it will pause the game. And then we can take a look and see what we captured.
Oh, yeah, that's right. So all
So
these
what-
modifies. Hey, we
Yeah,
got a
there's-
place.
Who's the place?
Let's see.
Was it a sheep?
Cause sponge block snapshot grass.
Oh, so in this case, to explain this one was because a grass actually spread to another grass, and the tick system caught it, and it is the cause. Because the grass is spreading, the grass is the root cause of it, and it caused the spread to the other block. So that's one example right there. I was trying to think. Do this. Leave this world, because this world's got a whole bunch of stuff going on. Leave this world and let's go to create a flat world. Because there's not too much going on in flat world, but you might have a village nearby. And we'll show the villagers and what they do. So as Gabazo sets this up, with the one thing I noticed today with just playing around with this is villagers, when they open the door, we actually catch it. They cause a change block event .modify, and the villager is caught, and he opens the door. Yeah, I see that right then. Yeah, there is a. Oh my. It'll be done in just a moment.
Oh, it is done. Now.
Well, I mean, it'll be done for us in a moment.
Oh, yeah. We can kind of see the villagers are doing things.
Let's capture one of
Oh,
those.
no. That's the generator, of course.
Yeah, let's see if you can find if you get lucky and find a village nearby. Ah, there's
Alright,
one.
yeah.
Get over there and then kind of let things cool down, and let's see if we see a villager open the door.
Let's see, modify. We got a place. Snapshot.
There should have been one right there. You caught up on the screen. Was that from a villager that caused it?
No, it was
Because I've seen a villager come out of a place.
yeah.
You should be able to search through lore for door in the log.
Oh god. Hold on. I'm just gonna this because it's so long.
Hey, Lunatic's got an idea. Put a zombie. That'll send them indoors. Turn it nighttime and put a zombie out.
See. There are some really long snapshots.
Yep. There's all kinds of data being caught. More data than most people will even know what to do with.
Oh, yep. Alright, here's the gist. Paste that for everyone to see.
There we go.
So here we can kind of see already. Got the villager as the root cause.
Yep.
Why is the player cause?
Let me see here. The reason why you let me think about this one for a moment.
Probably the player did something in the same tick, and the tracking system picked them both up.
That'll be something Blood will have to figure out.
But but anyway, you can see that the villager is there.
Right. But we
can
the player. I don't think it's that the player is the cause, but the player is associated with the villager being spawned. I think that's because of world generation.
Yes. So that's actually the case here. So
Yeah.
just to clarify for everyone, what's going on here, what you see, and this really shows what we're talking about from a snapshot capability here, is that so Gabazoid went over to the village. He caused that chunk to generate. And in causing that chunk to generate, a villager spawned. And in the same tick, a villager opened the door. So we actually capture that too. So as I said, there's so much data here that people probably won't even know what to deal with, because it's that in depth that you can actually capture that. You can actually know, oh, hey, look at that, a villager opened the door. I wonder why a villager opened the door. There's a player cause. And then we can probably even go as far as put the chunk in the cause too, because technically the chunk is the one that generated and what is put the village there, the chunk or the world or something. We can do that as well. And Gabazoid right there, Random Bite says big data. Yeah, if you've ever seen one of Oracle conferences, they're all about big data. In this case, we're all about big data too, because plugin developers have always wanted to have more control. You know, they've always been able to do more stuff with the game, and there's never really been a good way before to track it. And whereas plugins like, you know, like I mentioned before, WorldGuard is an example. I think that might have been more World in it. Other plugins like Prism, and there's a couple of other blocking plugins I probably don't know about. They've always been about logging stuff, but unless you have full control over the server and you can make changes to the server like we can, you can't truly log it. You don't know. Without basically taking over the server and doing it for them too. And that's what we're providing to everyone now. You don't have to ask a logging plugin what happened. You'll just know. And to be honest, there is probably little to nothing that's not captured now in some way, shape, or form.
Gabazu, can you show them the dispenser? But you may want to filter out the you know, all this.
This is a big one. Yeah. This is a big one right here.
Dispenser and pistons.
Yep. So a lot of people have asked us quite a bit for the capability to know what happens with dispensers and with pistons. So the best test to do, Gabby, would be to put down a piston, put some redstone wire away from it, and then take a torch and place it. So we actually now.
I'm actually going to move away from this village real quick because I'm tired of the spam from it.
Yeah, you should probably do that. Though you'll get a couple of spam from sheep, but it won't be that much because they'll be eating grass.
Well, sheep won't spawn here.
What's the game rule?
Oh, did you turn them off? Okay.
No, they just won't spawn at this level. Game rule: do mob spawning false.
Yeah, do that one. That'll do it.
Do mob spawning. Unless you've already done that. And the
what
video
is it?
isn't caught
Kill
up.
at A. All right. Okay, so I'm getting a piston, a lever, redstone. So for starters, we're already picking up the notify events.
Yeah, let's let it catch up for a moment.
What block should I move? I will move. Alright, so we've got our little contraption set up. We've got the piston, we've got some redstone, and we've got a lever. Alright, so the log is caught up.
Yep.
And I just flipped the lever, and we received. I'm just going to dump this to just quick. I should have. Okay, test.
So the thing that we're showing here, and this is very important, is everyone has always wanted to be able to track what happens with redstone. Like if you put down, so here's a good example. I'm going to use it from the server that I do a lot of work for. The server, basically they have a residence plugin on the server. And what residence does is that you can put sections in which only you can change stuff in. And it has flags, and it's a nice plugin. The problem is that if someone sits out of your residence, so let's say that you had some piston at the border of your residence. And you wanted to be able to do stuff with it outside the residence. Well, you'd have to turn off a flag to let that happen. So what we can do is we actually know when you right click that lever right there, it actually tracks it, and we know that you did it. We know that you are the one that activated the lever, you flicked it on, that went down the redstone wire and activated the piston. That is just redstone tracking is, to me, that's the creme de la creme of tracking stuff within this game. Everyone has always wanted to be able to do that because now you can do true block protection. You don't have to worry about putting up big walls around your residence or around your world guard region to make sure people can't do it. You can stop people from pushing blocks into a world guard region because you'll know that someone caused that. Was that person that who owned that world guard region or who has permission? No, deny. Simple. You'll now know it because that's now tracked in the cause. That's never quite been doable before on this kind of scale. And we're just, I mean, that's what we have right now as far as tracking things. And there's more stuff that's being tracked that we probably have no clue on because we've not been able to test every single vanilla mechanic to see what we're tracking and what we're not.
My God. Sorry to interrupt
The amount
you,
of
but
information.
it's just that it's including every single block transaction.
Redstone. Yes, it is. You will know.
You will have every transaction.
You will know the exact route of the redstone wire to that piston, and you will have the piston as well. There is truly, and I mean truly, no better tracking system than this that I've ever seen. Because then you can do whatever you want. Heck, I mean, I could change all the redstone wire into another block to mess with you. I can iterate through all the block transactions, get rid of the redstone wire, and put lava there, and then you die. So ha. I mean, I can do all of this. Like another thing too is because of the fact that we track entities also have owners. This is another thing I was thinking of too. The one thing that we haven't really talked about is where mods are concerned. So this is completely interchangeable with mods as well. You'll be able to see all the mod blocks in these transactions. This is not just for vanilla. And we'll also, like for instance, most of you know that Blood is one of the lead developers of Mo Creatures. And with Mo Creatures, they have a big old ogre. And the ogre can destroy blocks. And I've seen on the server that I play on before we had to go out of our way to make sure that this was stopped by absolutely turning ogre block damage off, which was very disappointing. People would be outside a residence, they would spawn an ogre, and they would smack the ogre down in someone's residence. The ogre gets mad, and he starts going on a rampage, and there goes their residence. With this new system in place, I can say, oh, does someone own that ogre? Yes, they do. Cancel. Boom. It's done. I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to destroy part of Mo Creatures' mechanics just so to stop this because I had no means of tracking it before. Now I can track whatever I want. Everything is at my fingertips. I never have to worry about this again.
You can pull the populator fix if you want.
Yep.
Just pull it,
excellent.
and then you can test the plugin. It should work.
Yep. Let's reset back head and then pull it down again, and then we'll show messing with a world.
Just quick question. With the tracking, say for example, Craftbook has the pipe feature.
Mm-hmm.
Is a plugin able to actually set it up so that it would be possible to actually test or track the interaction with pipes and all that?
Well, the interaction, who is interacting?
Say if there was a chest with items in it, a player triggered the pipe,
Okay.
and then the item was transferred through. Is it possible for
you will have the player cause.
Alright,
Okay.
You
let's,
absolutely will.
That's cool.
Just FYI, I'm booting up with the tree stuff right now.
Good luck.
Go for it,
This
mate.
is the best part. This is the best part of development, though. Being
Getting
able
to
to
test your fun stuff.
I mean, even if we do have some bugs here and there, it's finally being able to just get in here and use the product. instead of
Mhm.
having to just work on the product, being able to use it and see stuff happen.
All right, so diamond trees.
Is that what it's going to be?
Create a new world, obviously.
Yeah,
Yeah. Diamond trees world.
Well, it's not all
Wow.
diamond trees. It's only some. It depends on the
True,
types.
but still.
One type is a diamond tree. The other types are other. I just pick random blocks.
All right, we should be seeing it in a few seconds.
So it's working, Gabby?
I can't say because I spawned in a mesa biome. But yes, it did work.
Excellent.
Yay!
Plant some.
Let's see.
Oh, that's the worst biome to spawn in. That's terrible.
I know.
It's so terrible. Uh-oh, I see him on the horizon. There we
Oh
go.
god. The field of gold.
Bring out the cheddar, folks. It's time to get paid.
And mind you that all of this
Holy
is done.
crap.
All this is done through API. So, even though
Buddy joined your channel.
what used to be what used to require in Bukkit, for example, to create your own block or chunk generation code, now you can just do it with,
A
this
simple
listener,
replace
this
functionality. Yeah.
simple listener, and you're done, and you get all of this.
Absolutely. So what we should do now is
we should do the other
Ore
one,
thing?
the ore.
you can just uncomment the listener for the ore too if you want to.
Well, I don't have it in debug mode because
Well, I mean,
IntelliJ is
you
just
wouldn't be able to do
going
it
to
anyhow
die.
because it's got register at start.
Oh yeah,
So,
that's right.
Yep. So kill it one more time. Let's uncomment our one for the listener, and then take that and see if we see some ore blocks.
Right. Yes, to answer someone's question, Socratic Phoenix root does get the very first object in the cause object array. What that means is that we attribute the root cause as being the direct cause for the event being called.
And you can consider things to come after the root cause as either it causing the thing that comes before it. So the next thing would be whatever causes the root cause and what causes that cause and so on, or just sort of auxiliary causes or secondary causes that relate to the main cause in some way.
I didn't set it to creative. So for example, in the gist for the for that piston demo, if you go and look, you will see the cause is attributing a player first as the first element in an array. So, put back up. I'm sorry for the delay. I forgot to set it to creative.
No problem. Diamond trees are best trees.
Diamond trees and gold trees and emeralds. Emerald trees will get you lots of villagers.
You go to the villager and you're like, I'm gonna buy this place. You make it rain them emeralds.
Only problem though is how to mine it, because you just eliminated your entire log
crap,
source.
That's right. Oh no. Darn, that's right. Wait, this is the best troll in the world, Gabby.
I know.
Sees world full of
someone-
emerald trees. Can't
Someone
find
should
it.
make a. Someone should make a game, a mini game out of it.
Well, you'd actually be able to get some wood from like an NPC village, like on the sides of their buildings and stuff, unless you changed that as well.
No, no. I mean, I just spawned in and there's a village right next to me, but still, it's. You're going to have a very fun time.
Wood is
Yeah.
going to be worth more than emeralds, which is amazing.
Or diamond.
Yep.
Alright.
Okay.
Next, Gambizu. Huh?
So now we're gonna go and find some ore. See if you get lucky.
I do hate how there's a difference in, Oh, shoot.
You can use the effect name.
No such element exception. We got a bug.
Just throw a potion down.
I can't. That's the problem.
Looks like you've. No, don't do a splash potion. Do a regular.
No, I know. I'm trying to.
Well, I did a regular potion earlier, and that seemed to work fine.
There we go.
Yeah, it looks
Right.
like you got something wrong with your splash potions.
Oh, here we go. So here's an
It's actually
iron. Here's some iron blocks. I need to find a cave system.
It just with interactions in general, looks like.
No, interactions are still working. It's just I think there's something wrong with the.
With the data processor.
No, not the data processor. There's something with capturing for projectile launching. 'Cause,
Possibly.
I mean, when you throw a potion, you're launching that projectile. Where the
Right.
hell is a canyon, ravine? I see these caves. I don't care about caves. Oh,
Yes, Socratic Phoenix said use spectator mode.
yeah.
You can tell how much that we play this game, and if you need a hint, it's pretty much none.
Hey, I played the game more than you.
Well, isn't that the truth? Every single
Um,
time I go to play this game, I learn something that apparently was done like a year ago, and I never knew about it.
Yeah, I can confirm that Jeton is absolutely useless when it comes to playing the game, but yet absolutely
Blood's even more
brilliant when it
useless
comes
than
to
I am.
understanding it.
Blood's even
Let's
more
see,
useless
we're
than I am, but
finding
that's
some
what happens.
iron. I'm trying to find gold. Oh, here's some gold, but it's not being replaced. Odd.
Too highly trained.
Could be existing chunks.
No, this was a brand new generated world, and the
Hmm.
iron's being replaced here. Well,
Interesting.
you'll see the update.
Oh, I don't do gold.
Oh, you don't?
I don't think I did gold. No, I didn't do gold or redstone.
Oh, here's some coal.
Yeah, coal stands out like a sore thumb on the surface. You can go look in the distance and there'll be black blocks. I can't believe I forgot about gold. I feel kind of silly now. Maybe it just further confirms how little I know about this game anymore with actually playing the game.
What other ores did you do besides
Actually,
iron?
I
And
did
coal, of course.
diamond, I did coal, I did
Here's
iron,
there's
I
some
thought I
I did
just saw
diamond.
emerald.
diamond.
And
There's
I did
some
emerald. Ah, you found some diamond?
But it's underneath lava, so I can't actually go in it. But there is diamond, and there is iron.
Nice. Ah, yeah, I see them. The little blue blocks.
Let's see, the problem with emerald, it's hard to find because
Right. Really. I know
It's-
that much at least.
I mean, it's only found in those biomes, the extreme hill biomes. And there's another diamond block.
Also,
But,
also a
Oh,
quick
I
thing
know.
with
Yeah.
with changing ores. For instance, let's say a plugin wanted to record all the locations of ore in every single chunk. You can do that with here. As the popular stuff is generating, all you gotta do is check for the popular type, and whatever is being sent to you in that event, you just store it in your database or however you're storing it, and now you have the list of every single block location that has an ore. So let's say down the line, all right, I want to get rid of one type of ore, or I want to change all types of ores, or I want to remove certain, because there's too many diamond ore in the world. Let me remove some. You'll have, if this plugin provides an entire list of every location, you can do that, and then you can change it in the future, for example, not just during population.
yep, you can do statistics as well. You can do stats. I mean, you can
Actually,
have a big
I have
database
an idea.
server that tracks what gets placed. You can actually run stats to find out how much diamond ore you actually have in your world. So you can build like a store economy plugin to where the values of ores go up and down based upon how much is actually still in the world. I mean,
Let's see,
we're
block
talking
types.
extremely high level stuff right there. What you can do.
You're just going on this whole big data rampage, aren't you now?
Now, what are you going to replace, Gabby? You're going to fix the gold ore. Yep. Yep, with state, and then ta-da!
What troll? Oh, I know. This is gonna be fun.
Oh, no!
Best way to troll people: replace everything with glowstone.
That's your render performance is gonna tank. Because of all them
That will
light
murder
updates, you
your
may want to
lighting.
think about that. It's just gonna be bad.
But let's see.
If the stream crashes, it's all Gabazu's fault.
Yeah, this is going to be, oh my. You could
But
have
some of it's-
also hot reload that as well.
Yeah,
I
you're just
could.
changing a method. And some of it's-
Also, yeah, the Wolfzine pointed out something. You may want to stop it because you're still checking to see if the if the populator is ore.
Oh.
Yeah, you may want to do that.
Stone is done. Stone is a chunk primer. I currently don't allow that to be
No.
replaced.
The
Oh
I'm
yeah,
ta-
you don't allow stone to be replaced. Do
what
you?
what about the populator for the andesite and granite and whatnot?
Oh yeah, that's actually the Actually, I think the biome replacement is done as in the primer section as well. So I'm not sure if that can be replaced currently right now.
But that should be well. Let's just try.
I'm pretty sure because the first thing the step happens is the chunk primer generates the template,
Yeah,
so
it's
it's
not
stone,
going. It's
and then
not
the
going to be there,
biomes,
Gabby.
and then the biomes replace stone with whatever block they want to replace it with. But that's not done during the population. That's done during before that.
Even the. Oh, let's
I mean, I
try.
can add support for it, but I didn't add support currently.
Yeah, no. See what
Yeah, sure,
happens.
try.
And Saladoc is speaking the truth.
No, it's not.
Everything going wrong is always Zidane's fault.
Yes,
All
that's
right,
the whole
let's
point
try.
of
Ooh.
Sponge is to use plugins with Forge mods.
The breakpoint finally called.
Think of Sponge as Cauldron times 100.
Cauldron plus plus.
There you go.
No.
There we go.
There we go. It's starting to do it. Oh god.
What did you do?
Oh god. It did work. It did work.
It did? Okay.
Yes. Look at
Oh,
this. It's beautiful.
Very nice.
So now all your cave systems are going to be lit up gloriously by glowstone.
Of course, there'll be nothing to find in those caves.
But they're pretty.
Nice.
That's all that matters.
those lighting updates, though. That's
Let's
what
see.
terrifies me. See, Doctor who joined us here, he's a server admin. He runs a server called Almira, and every time he hears lighting updates, he starts shivering.
Hey Doc.
He does
I
not
just
like
made it
hearing that.
much larger for everyone to see. This
He's
is...
got a world with glowstone as ore somewhere, hasn't he?
Yeah, he does. But I think they removed that.
Yeah, because it's just the lighting updates just kills it.
I remember mining there.
Yeah, there was a lot of glowstone there.
Lots of dark glowstone.
Yep, had to turn it down.
Though I think that because this is being done on Chunk
This is
Populate,
population. Yeah, it's past
So
the stone
it's-
generation.
yeah, so it is doing the lighting updates properly at least, but it's
Right,
still
it will. It's just your render performance goes down because it's having
not
to
only the
calculate
render,
those.
but just look at this.
Hey,
So
a
you-
dungeon.
So
See
you
what
replaced
goes
all
on.
ore, in a sense, with glowstone?
He replaced all andesite and was it just
Oh,
andesite?
nice.
Any stone block.
Oh yeah, that would count for it because andesite is just
It's a variant.
it's a
Just
variant.
it's a
data
variant.
value.
That works. There you go.
But you do see also that the gold blocks are working as well.
Yep.
Let's see. What else can we change? Ooh, we found a stronghold. But that won't be, oh yeah, that would still. I wonder what would happen if you replaced the stone with lava instead.
The block updates are going to be absolutely enormous. If you want to see your server's ticks per second, go to tank. That's how you do it right there.
It would no longer be ticks per second, it would be seconds per tick.
Seconds per tick. Yeah, that would be, oh god, that would be bad. I was thinking about how you do that to replace the trees with just water.
A server running at 20 seconds per tick.
If only Sponge had an internal TPS command.
It does. /forge space TPS.
Forge TPS.
Yes, Forge has one.
Yeah.
Mean tick time. TPS is still somehow 20 ticks per second.
That's not bad. So it's managing to keep up. Granted, you're only one person, so.
And the rendering logic is, of course, done in the client threads, so.
Oh, I just seen this question real quick. I know we're gonna do a Q&A here in a few minutes, but Quantrium, I think, asks an event when an entity despawns. Absolutely, we have destruct entity event,
And we also
and I
have-
believe there's a death phase as well to know if it's
Mhm.
because it died. But
Right.
destruct entity event would work just fine for that.
I think we have the expire sub event, which is when it's because it's despawning because you moved out of the chunk or something.
You know what we should do for future Sponge, State of Sponge events? We should replace all the trees with a variation of Sponge, Slime, and Flard.
Yay for Flood. Flood for everyone.
You're going to mod in Flood then. Excellent.
But yeah,
I mean, so that's it for cause tracking and showing, what we have the capability to do now. To
Oh,
say
actually,
that what's that?
what I did want to do is I wanted to put a breakpoint so that I could show the cause object in the debugger. Because this is debugging a plugin.
Right, you can do so.
Before I forget.
Now,
Okay.
just to also talk a little bit about the IDE setup that we have here. This is obviously this is IntelliJ. Some people like using Eclipse, whichever. It doesn't matter as long as you have basically something with a debugger. We have documentation on the docs that go into a lot more detail on how to get the development environment set up. We greatly recommend to get a
There we go.
development environment such as Eclipse or IntelliJ. Probably the biggest reasons is being able to not only run your plugin in single player so you can test it, but also being able to have access to the debugger, which is incredibly important. Because as you can see on the screen now, he's put a breakpoint in that listener, and he's able to print out everything available in the listener. Anyone that develops not using a debugger anymore, I don't really see how they manage to do it. And if they do it, then they take 2 to 3 times more time to get stuff done. As with a lot of people on the team, even though we put most, if not all, of our free time into this project, we have to make sure that that time is well spent. And using a debugger like this, we can test most of the changes that we do to Sponge. And if you're doing a plugin, then the same tool is available to you. We have all the documentation in place on our docs site, in which will tell you how to get it set up to do this right here. Because if anyone has wrote a bucket plugin before and you remember having to compile the plugin, go to the plugins folder, drop the jar, stop the server if it's not already started, if it's already started, and then or just start the server if it's not, and you're having to sit there and you don't think about it, but I bet you if you timed yourself and then multiply that by like 100 to 200 to 300 times that you're doing this in one session, that time equals up to minutes, and then it equals up to hours of lost development time because you didn't have the ability to truly do this. Now, Forge modders have been doing this for ages because obviously with the Forge setup, they are able to utilize being able to test in single player. So they've been doing it the intelligent way for so long, and unfortunately that never took hold of Bucket. I know there was a little side project to do that. They talked about it on their docs to where you could set it up to where you could somewhat do testing in the IDE. And I think you did manage to get access to a debugger, but it's not anything like this right here. This is on a completely different level than what was available in the past. I know
Didn't
that
Bucket or Craft Bucket have code that specifically made it almost impossible to do it within on IDEs or some of those implementations?
You couldn't recompile Craft Bucket. They made it impossible to do so. But there was a way in which you can set it up and you could accomplish that right there. But that's why, yeah, Faith just said it worked a long time ago in Bucket. Well, it didn't work out of the box. You had to do a specialized setup to make that work. And obviously you didn't have access to just do something like single player. You'd have to fire up their server in the IDE, and then you'd have to fire up a separate client. And when you're doing debugging on a server perspective, it's very annoying because once the debugger happens, then your client will end up getting disconnected if they don't continue talking to the server. But in single player, you get all the benefits right at the top because when it stops, not only does the server thread stop, but the client thread stops. And so you can sit there and figure out what's going on. And you can figure out, you can make your changes, and once you're happy with it, then you can release it. And you'll notice as you get used to this kind of setup and get used to using a debugger, you'll eventually start looking at this and go, how in the world did I do development before? Yes, Portable Gem, it does. Gabazo hasn't really shown it here, but you can hot reload code. So if he was playing around with this and he's messing around with changing blocks like we've been doing, he can swap the block type that gets replaced. He can rebuild that class. The ID will ask if it wants to hot reload the classes. You just hit yes, and then you go and generate some more chunks. And lo and behold, it's hot reloaded. You don't have to wait for the client to kick back up. So it's a huge time saving. I can't stress enough that if you've never ever really messed with a debugger before, then please go and read our documentation that we have put up. We've did this for your benefit because we don't need it. I don't need to know how to use a debugger. I know how to use it just fine. But there's many people that in the community that do plugin development that don't. I mean, they use these IDEs because someone told them to, but they don't understand the amount of power that's underneath the hood to help them write their code faster. That way you can make better use of your time, because the faster you get your stuff out and the more stable it is, the happier that your user base will be, and
actually,
the better developer you'll be.
I just demonstrated the hot swapping.
Yes. Yeah, you hot swapped right there, and then now you can... What did you hot swap?
I just created a simple, very simple uninteractive event. You know, I didn't add this before. I added it and recompiled, and then it asked to reload the class. But now, for example, this is what we have.
Oh, that's for any interaction.
So for example, I just right-clicked on a block. Are we not capturing?
When you right-click a block or you left-click a bunny?
The cause is empty.
For which one? For interact block? I'm not sure if that one is. I'm not sure if that one is 100% done.
It was working before.
And cause is not empty there. Oh wait, yeah, it is.
Yeah, it is empty.
Yeah, I would just poke it to blood and he'll fix it. But if you right-click a bunny or something, that one should definitely work. If you right-click an entity, that'll print the cause too.
If I spawn villager. There we go. Now I have the player as the cause. So you kind of get all this information from just having
Well, yeah, because
simple...
you did interact event.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would have been better to do maybe like interact event or interact block event dot secondary, something like that.
But yeah, so this is debugging. For example, I can actually player send message texts of, hey, you interacted. File, reload classes, and go ahead and let it go. Take out the breakpoint. Wait for that. And it says now, hey, you interacted. Player set item in hand. I need to now. Well, I can't do it right now because I don't have a game instance, so I won't be able to construct the item pack. But
get game.
Event.getGame.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Final item stack builder equals event get registry item builder stack full builder pipe pipes.col count quantity. 19 killed. Player set item in hand, coal. Recompile. And then if I interact, I will have now 19 coal. Right? Right.
And there you go. Just like that. I mean, he wrote some new code. And he said, oh, well, now when you interact, you right click in hand, when the API gives you a stack of coal of 19. And there you go. And that's what you can do with reloading. Obviously, reloading has its limits. If you decide to add like a new listener while this is running, you can't do that solely because of the fact that listeners are registered. At least these listeners are. Those listeners that are annotated to @listener right there are registered when the game starts. So if you were adding a new listener, you'd have to reboot the client. But if you had the listeners that you needed, but you weren't exactly sure what you're going to do in said listeners, you could add the listeners and then just keep adding code and keep reloading and finding out what you're going to do with it. And that is the power of knowing how to use the tools that you have at hand. And this is you're using the same stuff that we use day to day to continue writing the Sponge implementation. And it doesn't matter if you have IntelliJ, you can do the same thing with Eclipse. Just Gabzo and myself prefer it. I mean, we have team members that prefer Eclipse. Eclipse has a debugger. You can use it just fine. If you need some help with your setup, be it either of these two IDEs, because those are really the only two that the team uses, you can certainly ask us. We're more than happy to help you get your setup going, because we want to make sure that you know how to use the tools to help you get your stuff done. Because ultimately, if you put out content for us, then that helps our product become more appealing to more people. So the more that we help you, the more we help ourselves in the long run. But that basically covers basically, what we were going to sit here today and talk about the implementation is concerned. I hope everyone really enjoyed seeing what we've done as far as tracking and how much power we now give to you as a developer, how we empower you to have all this data that you can now query for, and you can really make some truly unique and awesome plugins that weren't too feasible to do before. This code is not in master yet. We've got some last stuff that we're going to do. Obviously, we've got a couple more quirks with it left that Blood will work on. But you should probably expect to be in probably within a week from today, if not lesser time than that, of us getting this into master so everyone can use it. So I'd be on the lookout for it. It's a really big branch. You can check our repos for it. And from here, we'll move on to the last sections of State of Sponge. The first one being, I'm going to continue tradition and allow Inscrutable to do his Docs shout out. Go for it.
Blimey. Yeah. Excuse me, I'm being attacked by a cat at the moment. Look, the docs have been progressing massively well at the moment, thanks largely to the help of a guy who's actually on this channel at the moment, Saladoc, who's been going absolutely great guns to try and get things like the data API enshrined in documentation. It turns out from the feedback I got from the quiz too that people are extremely happy with the way that the docs are going, and that they seem to be more valuable in some senses than the Java docs themselves.
That's not too far from the truth.
When we have Java docs for methods, that is, or when they're meaningful.
Hopefully we're filling the gaps. One of the important things we've got going is basically we've got a document in progress to describing how to produce data manipulators, so that we can essentially take some of the load off Gabazoo and get other people to contribute in that process. Hopefully that'll get pulled very soon, and we'll be able to get things happen a little faster, hopefully. I'm not sure if there are any other particular big priorities going at the moment because the entire API keeps changing so quickly that we're sometimes doing a case of just catch up to make sure that we correct things when things do change.
Yeah, we're hoping. I mean, at this point, most of our large API changes are over, because we've put together many of the systems are now in place to where there won't be huge standing changes anymore because we've made it in such a way in which it doesn't really need huge changes on parts of it. I mean, obviously that could, this could completely change 6 months down the road. This is kind of a mindset difference that we have versus like Bucket in the past. Um, the the biggest thing is when we see something that's wrong, we feel that it's more imperative, at least at this stage of development, to just flat out change it, and then then work with the plugin developers to let them know that it changed and get them to update as well. We definitely don't want to get complacent in what we have, because then that leads to the API growing stale and there's no real innovation done with it. Obviously, we're not going to say that a year after a year after beta phase, naturally by then we would already be in release and we would be past it by quite a bit. We're not going to say that we're going to drop a bombshell and break every single plugin. Those decisions would be greatly debated both behind the scenes as well as with the community, just to pretty much let people know why we would need to make this change. It won't just drop suddenly, but while we're in the alpha phase and partly during the beta phase, we're going to do that so we can get things the way they need to be before it gets to the point where it becomes really difficult to do that. Like, for instance, there will be a big change come with the Java 8 bump up after State of Sponge, because it'll switch from Guava's optional to
You've been wondering
the
when that was going
built-in
to get
one.
pulled in.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
also regarding the Java 8, so yeah, we are switching to Java 8's optional immediately, just because that sort of has to be done everywhere at once. And then over time, we'll probably be switching to more Java 8 things like the built-in function interfaces and other things.
right. So I mean that's going to be something right there, but fortunately stuff like that's really simple to do. It takes a moment or two for a plugin developer to easily switch it, and then there you go. Um, and I mean, and that's it. But most of the API code, it's here to stay. It's not going to change. So and that's why we have plugin developers that are already embracing us and they're getting to work on
By the
building
time
new
we get
content.
to beta, I presume it's going to be pretty solid then.
I'm sorry?
By the time we get to beta, it should be pretty solid then.
I mean, right
We
now,
hope so.
besides the Java 8 stuff, that was really in my mind, because I have a huge list of priorities that we run through. In my mind right now, that's like the last huge change I can see to the API for quite a while. It's just all the other stuff would be minor revisions. Like this method needs to be really this return type, so we have to fix it. Of course, that's a breakage. But that's just minor things, and that would affect maybe a couple people to more than a few people. But you're not going to see massive stuff like Events 2.0, Data 2.0, and Java 8 stuff. That was a huge breakage in the past. But the one thing I want to make clear is that we're never going to come to a point where we're just going to say, all right, we're never going to break anything. As I mentioned before, that was a big mindset difference between how we do things and how Bucket did things. If it needs to be broken, if it's for the greater good and for a better server and a better API, then we will break it. And we want to make sure that plugin developers are clear about this beforehand. If they don't like it, then it's just one of those things to where it's unfortunate, but it's just the way that things are going to be. Because we want to make sure that we put out the best API over everything else. And if we have to break something, we'll make it clear that we are going to. We'll entertain discussion on it. We'll discuss with the community. We'll take their feedback. But ultimately, if it's got to be broken, it's got to be broken. Stuff happens. It's an evolution. The API will never be quote unquote finished. It's always evolving, just like the implementation is. It's just we're now getting to the point where we can have bunches of plugins actually come in and do stuff because of this.
So
But
we're always going to need new documenters.
yep, always going to need people to step in and help Inscrutable and the rest of his folks keep the docs up to date. Hopefully in the future, though, it'll take a lot less effort, which I foresee it will, than it is right now to try and keep up with it. But other than that, I think that's pretty much it in regards to. Let me check right here real quick. Yeah, that's pretty much
should
it in
we get
regards for the
everyone on our
main.
server?
That's pretty much
And
it
get to the
for.
Q&A?
Right, that's pretty much it and remains as far as all the State of Sponge. Now we're going to move to opening up the live server for people to join. If the live server is up right now, then everyone can, you can go ahead and post the links. Yep, there you go. The server will be up. It does have a couple of plugins on it. It doesn't have any of the plugins in which we're kind of messing around with on the IDE, but it does have a couple of the community stuff. So you're free to just hop on it, mess around, look at the map that we have. The people on the server, they'll be more than happy to tell you the commands that you can run. Go check out the Skylands. They'll tell you the command to run to get to that. Feel free to just kind of go at it. This is running Sponge Forge on Forge server, and they're going to continue pasting the IP address to connect to, which that they in the Twitch chat right there. And at this point, while you guys kind of mess around with the server, we'll go ahead and open it up to Q&A. So bring forth your questions and get some answers. And if any of the core team have questions as well, they can feel free to go ahead and ask those too.
One thing that was brought up earlier by I can't remember, somebody from one of the hosting companies, about whether or not we had been profiling our server so far, if that can be commented on.
We can't really comment on that yet because the tick capturing stuff isn't done, and we can't really say so. Once the performance stuff, we're worried about the performance stuff after we get the API mostly implemented and get the features in that we want. Then we can start kind of driving hard on optimizing where we can. It is still our intention to incorporate some of the performance stuff from Minecraft developers like iCar. He's done a lot of the timings, he did the timings as well as the entity activation stuff. So that's one thing, we'll have that in. Because this is Forge, it already has the async chunk loading, so that's a good one. And with the tick capturing, we'll work on minimizing any impact that would have on the server. But even as it stands right now, it's very minuscule, so it's not a big deal. So yeah, I mean, we'll work on it in time, but right now it's not the number one priority. The more priority is getting stuff implemented so people can make content. So next question I see is, what is the status on Ore? Ore is in an interesting spot. Its main developer, who is Gradamax, currently he is busy with school and such. He does
he's got
work on it.
exams on at the moment, I think.
Yeah, he works on it when he can. So it's one of those things to where whenever he has the time, he puts the time into it. The last I talked to him, it wasn't too far off from a beta release in its own. It does function. I mean, you can put stuff there. Sometimes he has a testing site up that he puts up of Ore's latest and greatest. So I don't know when it's going to be in beta release, but it's certainly being worked on, and we'll get to it when we can. That area right there that's on that screen looks very odd. Are there supposed to be dolphins coming out of the tower? That sounds like inscrutable. Whales?
Whales.
Sounds like inscrutable.
That does not harm whales.
In fact, it improves them.
That's a really good question, and I'm going to read it out. So for tracking to work with mods, do they have to set up their stuff a certain way, or will Sponge grab most of their actions? I remember that Bucket wouldn't catch half the mod make/break events that went through, like portal gun, portal placements, etc. So part of our testing with this Leftied was running some mods, seeing what we can capture. So what we discovered, due to the way that we do this capturing, we capture it on a packet level, which means that for the mods to work, they still have to send those very same packets that the placement and other stuff do. So we capture them just fine. I know that Blood tested a number of mods that were available. I'm trying to think of some of the ones he did. I know he tested like Pixelmon, for example. He was able to catch all of his stuff. He tested let me see if I got it right here. Let me look at it real quick.
And a lot of the stuff with mods is as more of them update to 1.8 and more people, and we get towards the point where more people are testing mods with Sponge, we'll absolutely work with the mod developers to make sure that they're firing the right vanilla packets and things like that for their mods, or help come up with compatibility.
The way that this is done, they can't truly get around it. There's only one real way that they can get around it, and they did it this way. They would probably break more stuff in their mod, and they would cause angry users. It's because the way we capture it at such a high level in the server, that the only way to get around it is to literally intentionally go into like the storage subsystem behind world. I think they call that extended block storage, and actually set the raw IDs yourself for the blocks that you're placing. The only reason why you do something like that is just to be completely asinine. There's no reason that you'd ever do something like that. And every single thing.
A couple mod developers who do that.
Well, you know what? That's too bad.
But none of them have
for
1.8 mods at the moment.
But I mean, that's too bad for them, because otherwise, every single bit of that will capture, and you'll know about it. And ultimately, if a mod developer is doing something like that, then basically what it'll come down to is people will ultimately go to them and call them out on it, and they'll either fix it or they'll lose user base. That's all it is to it. The community will step forward and they'll force their hands. Because stuff like that, there's never, ever a reason to do that. That's purely just doing that out of spite. There's never a reason.
There's one or two mods I've seen that might have legitimate reasons, and those we can build support in from their end if needed.
There is never a reason to go to extended block storage instead of block.
There
is never a reason.
Some of the
Literally
multi-part
ever.
mods need to do that kind of stuff.
There's multi-block mods that don't do it with setting block storage. That's the part I was talking about. That's odd. It's just them being strange.
I think Chicken Buns multi-part mod does some of that stuff.
That's really odd then, because this shouldn't be done that way.
I don't remember how it's done, but I could tell you it's very obscure.
Well, we can if there's actually a legitimate case, then we can account for it. But it will be weighed heavily before we did that. So let's see.
I can take
go ahead, Aaron.
Wolfzen's question. So Wolfzen asked, will there be support for giving players custom skins? I always found that to be a fun feature that is currently only accessible by using packets. So the unfortunate news about that is in 1.8, you can only give player a skin that's signed by Mojang, which means at some point a player has to have put it on their account through the website. So it doesn't have to be their current skin, just one that was currently there. So in the future, we might look into some way of doing that, or providing, I could see someone making a plugin that tries to do that automatically, but it's probably going to be a while, as it's not that trivial to do. Well, yeah, but on the that's probably on the Forge client. They've disabled the signing. With the vanilla client, it'll reject it unless it's signed by Mojang.
Yep.
There's also a side note I'd like to make. It might be a little specific, not too specific to player skins, but for example, setting the custom display name of a player, even though that does affect, for example, or eventually when we do get around to writing the whole implementation for doing such a thing, it will hopefully be updating not only on the whenever they chat, but also in the player tab list and effectively in all the client's worlds.
It's not too hard to do that functionality.
No,
The
I know
biggest
it's not. I'm just
problem,
saying it.
the biggest
we tend
issue
to.
is the fact that the fact that the player object that exists on people's clients for you, which is effectively known as entity other player MP, that would actually be basically recreated, quote unquote. I mean, there already are recreated. When players go out of your view distance and come back into your view distance, they get another object created on their client for you. So it's not really that big of a deal, but it's just something to kind of keep in mind, because basically we would have to recreate or respawn you on other people's clients with the correct information.
And we already do that for humans, actually, if you've tried
Yep.
that out before. So do keep in mind, it's not respawned on the server, so you can keep
Yep.
the same player object you're using for your plugin. It's just this happens on people's clients. So the only real way you can see it is it'll visually flicker on people's clients as it gets despawned and respawned.
Yep. And that's literally the best that we can do within the limits of what they provide. But that would allow you to change the name above people's heads. So
Some of the stuff working with Forge mods will definitely, that's a discussion I'd love to have with you on TeamSpeak after we're done, Jim.
okay.
But you're more than welcome to comment on what he said also.
I'm back. Hey, you guys, have you guys showcased any mods, like showing the causes for mods?
Do you have a mod pack set up to do such a thing?
I can just give you Pixelmon, for example.
Well, in the meantime, Gamazu, how about you
Huh?
show everyone? How about you show everyone Matt's plugin, the music one?
Oh,
just
is it
type
on?
type slash
It's on the
music
server and
list.
it's working.
Yeah, / music space list.
When it comes to adding stuff to Forge mods, I mean, you're literally just compiling against our Forge implementation. And you should be able to sneak stuff in that way.
I don't know how loud this is going to be.
Well, you can turn your note block volume down a bit if need be.
What is this?
Anyhow, yeah, so just type / music list, then click on a song.
The other advantage to how we're handling a lot of stuff with mod plugin interaction is if you've got plugins that you know you need to load before and after between plugins and mods, the load order on the Forge implementation actually will respect clients and mods needing to load in between each other, I believe.
Yes, it will, as long as you specify it. Specify it in the plugin annotation. Uses the same concept that FML does.
And even on the mod side, it's using FML.
Yeah.
FML handles the injection on that, but that is something you could have on the mod side as well. Or if a Sponge plugin requires a specific Forge mod, you could just put an a class with a plugin annotation and require your Forge mod in order to be able, in order to add whatever hooks you want to add.
Yep.
For things.
Okay, so here's a pretty good question. So Wolfazine says, also related packets without packet API will be possible to spawn client-side entities and spawn fake client-side blocks. Client-side entities, you're probably talking about particles and such, unless you're actually talking about real entities that show up on the client. If it's particles, then we already have that. It's been in there for a while, but I don't think really anyone's used it. Being able to spawn vanilla particles on their client. As far as like a spawn a fake skeleton or something, haven't really ever thought about doing that. They wouldn't move. because the AI is actually controlled on the server. So they would literally just stand there. I guess maybe doing so, because the one thing I want to make it clear is we never have to. We never want to have to rely on a packet API to let you do what you want to do. We want to always make sure that if you're trying to do something and if for some reason you need a packet API, that we want to work with you to get what you're trying to do added. The biggest thing, like for the showing the entities, we might be able to eventually add something for that. So that's definitely something that might happen. As far as fake client-side blocks, it is our intention to be able to fake the blocks that you send to the player. I know that people are desperately wanting this, especially the admins, because they want to be able to hide where the ore is. So we are going to add support for that to happen. We won't randomize the blocks, but we will add support for you to send fake blocks to players. So a plugin can be made. Basically, a plugin can be made to stop. The plugin can be made to obfuscate the blocks, is what I mean. Yeah, and stuff like that too. There's another good one is where you're showing a glass barrier around region protected areas. Yep, you could do that too. And you could, yeah, you'll definitely be able to do that with the API changes that we make. I think it's also a GitHub issue on Sponge API as well to send fake blocks to the client. So it's on the list. Not really sure how high up on the list, but it's definitely there. We'll get to it eventually. Also,
I love how
Gabby,
you said definitely maybe.
definitely maybe. And Gabby, I think did you? Yeah, you got a list of mods from Blood. Go ahead and put those into the ID mods folder.
Where did he paste it?
It's in TeamSpeak.
TeamSpeak.
Yes.
Oh.
Scroll a little bit. There you go. Put those into your ID's mod folder, and let's start the ID up one more time to show one last thing, and then that'll be it for.
All right.
the
So
state sponge.
in the run mods.
Let's see. Socratic Phoenix said, "Will disguising ever be implemented? An example showing players an entity in place of the real one."
And what should I be doing exactly?
You literally take the mods and you put them into your
Oh, yeah,
ID's mod folder, and
I
then you
know
boot
that.
it up.
Well, Socratic, that would be basically the fake entities thing we were talking about. So that's one really big use of it. I mean, of course, that would be completely controlled by the plugin, but you can imagine translating like the move events from the real entity on the server side into move events, or not moves, but into moving the fake event on the client side. So, like Jiden said, that would be a lower priority compared to other things, but there's a possibility of it in the future. We haven't completely ruled out any of those.
It crashed.
Hadn't seen the crash come up on the screen yet from the mods.
Something about.
Scroll a little bit.
Yes, I did.
That's interesting. Take out. I wonder.
Looks like
that's
Biomes of
interesting.
Plenty is having fun.
Take out Biomes of Plenty, and let's try and run it again.
Just remove Biomes of Plenty.
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
And if anyone else has any more questions, don't be afraid to ask them in Twitch.
You go crazy, folks. More questions, the better.
What's up?
Matt's question. On a scale of 1 to 10, how awful is Australia's internet?
It's an 11.
That is, unless
NBN,
you're inscrutable.
100/40.
Inscrutable with his fiber connection.
Because Tasmania apparently is high priority.
Yeah, I don't get how, like, everyone goes off at Australia for being an island, but Tasmania is our island.
The
And yet they
island
have
of the
better-
island.
But they have better internet than the rest of us.
What?
It's not fair, I tell you. It's not fair.
I'm sorry, but do we want to put this to the test?
Okay, minimize that window right there.
Oh dear. Crap. I loaded World's Test in it. But I do see some creatures. Ah. So, what am I supposed to see in this world, Blood?
Is Pixelmon in there?
No.
I'm not sure if I gave you it.
No, you didn't.
Alright, 1 second.
So I should warn you guys that I didn't quite expect this state of sponge to last this long. I do need to start getting ready to go.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, we're
We're
gonna
gonna-
finish off in a little bit.
Oh, right.
Okay,
Aggressive automation.
Go to your creative tab.
Yeah.
And go to progressive automation.
Yeah.
And choose one of the miners. Choose
Okay.
one of the miners, and then check to see if it's tracked.
What event am I looking for to track it?
This will be like this breaks blocks and changes them or replaces them with whatever type it is. So if it's diamonds, it replaces, I think, cobblestone with. You gotta check the ingredients. But this will be a break for sure. It's basically going to dig a straight line straight down.
Alright, I have to restart the client then.
Yeah, because you need to add listener for it. I'm assuming you must have commented out the other listeners.
Yes, I did.
Okay. Now, do you need redstone power or anything like that to power those machines, Blood?
I don't think so. I forget. We'll see when you actually. It requires ingredients when you right-click on it, and then we'll activate.
I think it said it required a tool or something.
You'll see when you right-click on the block.
Man, I'm getting a full spam log of block
Breaks.
break events.
That's
From what?
probably from well, in generation, sometimes generation causes breaks.
Yeah, it changes stuff to air sometimes.
Yeah.
Portable Jim asked, what sort of things are in for users and permissions? So, Sponge does have a permissions API written by ZML, and in the implementation there's a basic permission service included that just uses Vanilla's op levels, which you can configure in server.properties.
Right, so how do I do this?
3, 4. But if you want an actual full-featured permissions plugin, you should use something like Permissions EX or another community-made permissions plugin.
Well, if you right-click the block, it says it needs tools.
Buddy left your channel.
No, you need coal. Get coal. A stack of coal. Cobblestone.
Cobblestone.
Whatever it needs. Hover over the menu. Right click on the block, and you'll see what it needs. It says it right in the block. Hover over those items. So that's a diamond. So it needs diamond of a diamond shovel, pickaxe. If it's a diamond miner, whatever you put in there has to be diamond. Yeah.
I feel like it's possibly facing the wrong direction. No problem, Portable Jim. Shouldn't be facing down.
Diamond
if you
shovel?
want to mine down.
Yeah, I put a diamond shovel.
Maybe not API level methods, Wolfazine, but there'll be a plugin. Well, there actually is a plugin. No, that's just called Flardians.
Well, that does spawn villagers, which give you Flard, but we should have an official spawn mod that adds Flard to the game.
Where is it actually mining?
It goes straight down.
Underneath.
Is that considered to be a break or a modified blood?
Shouldn't it?
They
Right, it
usually
might be.
break then place.
Where is it mining?
It's mining straight down.
It goes down and then it replaces the blocks with cobblestone.
Then that's a modify.
You see all
Yeah,
that cobble underneath?
Yeah.
yeah. If you'll go back and change that to a modify, Gabby, then you'll
Yeah, I
print it
will.
out. Yeah, do
I'm
that.
just,
It'll be fine.
Yeah, it could be modifying. That's true. Or
does it
it's
off to
actually
the
a
side?
place. I think it's a place because it's going to change the type. Yeah. Check for place. Not modify. Modify will only be if it's the same type. So if it was a cobblestone changing states, which won't be the case. So check for place instead of break.
So, is there a separate one that's just air to block? That's just air changing to a different type of block instead of a block
Break.
changing to a block?
Break is a block changes to air. So in this case, it's not break. It's actually a block changing its type. So it's considered.
So it's just
place.
what? Change block event dot what?
Place.
Place. Yeah, wrong one. We used the wrong one. So there's three main types. There is when a block changes its type, that's a place. When a block changes its type to air, that's break. And when a block doesn't change type but changes its state, that's modify.
Yep, we're getting the place.
Excellent.
Now, as you can see, this is a modded block. It's not in a vanilla game. So this is the power. Well, how much different it is from, like, let's say Cauldron, where it was impossible to track stuff like this, because my tracking is done every game tick. So no matter what it is, as long as that thing ticks and it's calling set block state in the game, I'm capturing it.
It's definitely an incredibly powerful tool to use.
Here's like a quick question. What sort of impact does that have on performance?
Well, that one right there is not from the modded block that you pasted. So you need to find one from the modded block. Because that one, the root cause of it was not the modded block.
Blood, do you want to take that question about performance?
It shouldn't cause any. I did tests and it's literally nanoseconds.
Oh, okay, okay.
You might have to place another one, but yeah, that's not a one from the modded block.
You could put the diamond upgrades in there.
Okay, that is
Oh,
one.
yeah,
That's
you can
much
see in
better.
You can see in the console.
Yeah, go ahead and paste that one. I mean,
Yeah.
that's big. That's huge right there. Because that caught that tile entity doing that.
And then once you see this, I suppose everyone can see that in the stream. So that's the real power of this
Alright,
tracking
go ahead.
system.
Anyone who is looking at the gist, go ahead and reload
Just-
that gist.
Just move the bar to the right so that they can see the information. And your IntelliJ, just drag the bar to the right.
Yeah, I did.
It takes a while to
Alright.
catch up.
I probably need more cobblestone though. No?
So there you go. You have the player and the tile entity in the cause.
So it's this kind of thing which is really going to make it feasible to have mods alongside plugins on a Sponge server, because plugins will be able to intercept these events from mods and optionally cancel them or just see what's going on. So you can imagine a plugin preventing this from happening in a protected region.
And that's the reason why we went through all this headache to try and do this, was stopping those blasted mods from running amok like they normally do. With a system like this, you can absolutely stop them.
So not only can you run mods alongside plugins, you'll be able to actually have these plugins control these mods just as if the mods were written to take advantage of Sponge. Of course, unless the mod does something really weird, like Jeeden and Blood said earlier, there won't really be any changes that need to be done to them. They just keep using the same methods they always do, and Sponge can pick it up and pass it on to plugins.
Yep. But I mean, basically that's pretty much it for what we wanted to go through with this State of Sponge. Obviously, this went a little bit longer than we had anticipated, but we're really glad that everyone stuck along with us and then, had to see what we have. As you can see, I mean, we've made so much progress within the last 2 months. We went from pretty much having not even an event system to having one that has all this power. I mean, more power than anyone ever dreamed of to be able to do with this game, especially one that definitely does work alongside the mods, so long as the mods behave. As far as where we go from here, I mean, I mentioned earlier about the road to beta, about how we're focusing on events, we're focusing on causes, which you've seen a lot of it right here, as long with events. We're focusing next on inventory, and then the contributors, along with Gabby, are focusing on data. And that really is pretty much what makes up our road to beta. And I'll just go ahead and repeat and say that we're definitely on track for the end of the year promise that we would be in beta phase, and people are already using it right now. To me, though, I'd like to have those 4 things in place before I actually go ahead and say, oh yes, the ecosystem or Sponge Forge is in beta phase, and then go from there.
So, Stingray asked, is there a way to create entities with the player model that are not actually players? So by this, I think you mean like humans, meaning what appears on the client side to be indistinguishable from an actual player, but there's no actual player on the other end of the connection. So yes, Sponge actually does support that right now. You can spawn in humans, change their name, teleport them around, and we eventually might be looking at support for adding AI to humans and other mobs. So you can have a human that runs around, attacks people like a zombie, or shoots them like a skeleton. All of that's pretty long term, but at the moment, yes, you can spawn in NPCs.
Yep, you absolutely can do so. But I think that pretty much, I mean, that wraps us up for today. If you have any more questions and such, I mean, you're welcome to join us on IRC, Espernet. We are in #Sponge as well as Sponge Dev. If you want to talk about docs, they're in Sponge Docs. I mean, we have plenty of channels to where you can reach out to us and talk to us. So many channels. You can go to our website, forums.spongepower.org. You can put up a thread. People watch it. If there's a question that our moderators and such don't answer, they always come back to us, and one of us will go answer it. And a lot of us keep watch over the forums as well. You can reach out to us on Twitter. Owen and others, they keep watch of that sort of thing. They see questions, they answer it, or they ask us for an answer. And we're also on Reddit. Yes, we're also on Reddit at Sponge Project subreddit. You can put up stuff there, and again, it'll funnel right back to us, and you'll get an answer to it. So that's pretty much it for this State of Sponge, and until next time, see you guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
May the flood be with you.